I think most people believe the FDA actually has their own scientists that do this analysis, but that nothing could be further from the truth. It basically evaluates the studies that the industry submits that they funded.
So we know that the food companies realize that many of their ingredients are very addictive. And, you know, the tobacco companies did it for decades. They're still doing it. If you addict a customer, you have a customer for life. Food companies do much the same thing with different chemicals. It's not nicotine, it's the MSG, it's the processed sugars, it's the aspartame, it's these other chemicals. But it's the same idea. It's just like selling cigarettes. You're selling food that's harmful, and you want people to keep coming back, so you put in those chemicals that make them want it again and again. The marketing essentially lies to you because it presents you with this image of a can of soda, let's say, and it doesn't tell you what's in the can. What it says is that this can, if you drink it, it's going to bring you these benefits by association. You're going to be cool, you're going to be sexy, you're going to be happy, you're going to be surrounded by friends, wearing skimpy bikinis or whatever their message happens to be. This is a lie. The truth is, if you drink that soda, you're going to lose bone mineral density because of the phosphoric acid it contains. If it's a diet soda, you may suffer neurological problems due to the chemical sweeteners. And if it's not a diet soda, it probably is made with high fructose corn syrup in North America and elsewhere around the world, and that's going to promote diabetes, type 2, and obesity. So, you know, on one hand, here's the promise, you're going to be sexy and popular and cool, but in reality, you're going to be obese and miserable and unhealthy and sick. The marketers are telling you this, but what they deliver is this.
We are now coming to a point where we are wary. More and more people are wary about just falling into this marketing of 0 calories, no fat, no sugar types of messages.
Many of the food labels at the grocery store are very deceptive. For example, there's a cereal made by General Mills called Total Blueberry Pomegranate Cereal. It contains no blueberries and no pomegranates. So you might wonder, well, how did they come up with the name? And the naming of food products often is a little too loose and creative. It's almost as if they're naming these products, and this is from the major food companies whose products are in every major grocery store all around the world. It's almost as if they're naming them based on what they hope you might imagine you're eating, rather than what's really in the box, because a lot of times it's not in there. And then there's stuff that is in there that they don't want you to see on the label, so they don't put it on the label, such as propylene glycol. This chemical is used in a lot of blueberry muffins. It's part of what makes up the blueberry bits that aren't blueberries. They're made of propylene glycol, partially hydrogenated oils, liquid sugars, and artificial colors. You can also use propylene glycol to winterize your RV. It prevents the pipes from freezing in the winter. It's also used to clean out your colon before a colonoscopy. So multiple uses for this ingredient that you get in your blueberry muffins.
America loves enemies. And America chooses an enemy and deploys all its forces against it, right? So at some point, when we were noticing that we were getting fat as a population, we attacked. We made the enemy was fat, and everything became fat-free. Fat-free this and fat-free that. And the calories that fat were occupying were replaced by mostly carbohydrates. That resulted in the fattest country in the world.
Fat-free normally means it's loaded with sugar. I can get a 2-pound bag of sugar in my hand now, and I can put a label that says 100% fat-free. The fact that once the sugar is ingested will turn into fat in the body, because why? Because it sends the sugar levels sky high. And what does the pancreas do? It has to secrete insulin in order to bring that down so you don't die. Insulin is the fat-producing hormone. So the 2-pound bag of sugar that I put 100% fat-free, although factually correct, is unbelievably misleading. So all this excess energy comes along and says, where can we store it? Short-term places, liver. But what do we do with the excess? I know what we'll do. We'll produce some fat cells, store them in there, use them later. Problem is, there's never a later.
Fat is really good for you if it's the right kind of fat. And that's the key. It's getting the right kind of fat into your body.
If you're on a low-fat diet of some kind, you are constantly hungry. Why? Because you need the correct fats and proteins to feel satiated. And so therefore, if you negate that side of what the body is crying out for, you'll be constantly looking for it.
We know that the cheap low-grade fats, such as soybean oil and even canola oil and the corn oils, these are not healthy for you to consume in large quantities over the long term. The worst kinds of fats are the partially hydrogenated fats. These are the hydrogenated oils that are used in many baked items and crackers and cookies and margarine spreads, the butter spreads. Oh, those are some of the worst foods you could possibly eat. If you want healthy fats, then you got to get into the natural plant-based fats from avocados and chia seeds and flax seeds, and even healthy fat from salmon, wild-caught salmon. That's a healthy fat for you.
You want a bite?
I thought you loved me.
I do. Take 2 bites.
It's got high fructose corn syrup in it.
So?
Well, you know what they say about it.
What?
That
When it comes to high fructose corn syrup, a lot of people don't realize the dangers of refining and concentrating ingredients from a product.
In the 70s, Japanese scientists developed a technology to separate fructose from corn, thus radically reducing the cost of this high fructose corn syrup relative to traditional forms of sugar.
So high fructose corn syrup comes from corn, obviously, but it's not natural because it's so concentrated and so refined. It's an isolated nutrient. For example, cocaine is probably not good for your health, but it comes from the coca leaf. And coca leaf tea is perfectly safe for your health. I drank it when I was hiking in the Andes Mountains, and it's used throughout the culture there. It's a very important nutraceutical, medicinal plant that's used throughout South America. And there's no harm in drinking coca tea, and it's not addictive, nothing like that. But you wouldn't want to snort cocaine from the highly refined coca tea. Well, eating high fructose corn syrup, in my view, is a lot like snorting cocaine. It is the highly refined, isolated, concentrated, chemically manipulated version of something that's found in corn and grown in corn.
It's very similar to what white sugar is. White sugar is the purified sucrose extracted out of, say, beets or sugarcane. It's a pharmaceutical sugar. Well, white flour is a pharmaceutical carbohydrate in the same way that cocaine is extracted out of the coca plant. So you have the native cocaine in the matrix of the plant itself, or you have the pharmaceutical version. To me, white sugar, cocaine, white flour, they all fall in the same category of a whitened, extracted, purified substance that's drawn out of the plant kingdom. All of them create imbalances in the body and lead to all a host of problems.
But if you eat corn, it's fine. You're not going to get that much high fructose corn syrup.
The number one source of calories in the United States is fructose, and fructose is highly addictive. In the 1900s, the average person was exposed to about 15 grams of fructose, and the fructose is another term for that is fruit sugar, and of course it's why most fruits are sweet. And fructose in small amounts, 15, 25 grams, which is less than an ounce a day, is probably okay and healthy. But the average person is consuming 70 to 80 grams a day, and there are many kids, primarily teenagers, who are taking 120, 150 grams of fructose a day, literally 10 times the amount that they were taking a century ago. So when you abuse that type of sugar and you have that exposure, it has very severe metabolic consequences that can lead to these addictive processes and change brain chemistry and really make it very difficult to get out of this cycle where you have these food cravings and really addicted to food that's not going to make you healthy.
And in terms of just the glycemic index, high fructose corn syrup is like jet fuel for your body. If you pour jet fuel into your car's gasoline tank, you're going to ruin your engine and burn it out. Much the same thing happens in the human body. You can find high fructose corn syrup in so many products